Cubs fans, listen up! We're 10 days away from the most crucial trade deadline in recent memory, and your beloved Cubbies are sitting in the driver's seat with destiny calling their name. But behind the scenes, 3 seismic shifts are reshaping everything we thought we knew about this team's championship aspirations. Right now, as you're reading this, there's an ace pitcher who could be the missing piece to a World Series puzzle. There's a defensive wizard from our biggest divisional rival who might be wearing Cubby blue before August. And there's a front office making moves so aggressive, so calculated, that even the most seasoned baseball insiders are calling it extremely strong positioning. But Cubs fans, this isn't just about trades and transactions. This is about redemption. This is about proving that 2016 wasn't a fluke. This is about showing the baseball world that Wrigleyville still beats with the heart of champions. The stars are aligning in ways that haven't happened since that magical October night when we finally broke the curse. Your Cubs are 57-39. That's not just a record. That's a statement. They're sitting pretty atop the NL Central, staring down those pesky Brewers who refuse to fade away. But here's what the numbers don't tell you. They have the easiest remaining schedule in all of baseball, the best run differential, and a front office with money to spend and prospects to trade. But there's urgency in the air. Cubs fans, desperation mixed with opportunity, the kind of pressure that either breaks teams or forges dynasties. Every decision Jed Hoyer makes in the next 10 days could determine whether we're watching October baseball at Wrigley or planning for next year. Hit that like button if you're ready for this wild ride. Drop a comment with your boldest trade prediction, and make sure you're subscribed because this story is about to get absolutely insane. The first revelation involves a position of power that has every other team in baseball sweating bullets. The whisper started in the executive suites, but now it's echoing through every corner of baseball. The Chicago Cubs are in an extremely strong position heading into this trade deadline, and Jed Hoyer isn't holding anything back. When ESPN's Jeff Passan, the same guy who breaks half the major trades in this league, says your team is positioned better than almost anyone else, you better believe something big is brewing. Here's what's got every Cubs fan's heart racing. Hoyer just went on record saying nobody is untouchable when it comes to prospects. Nobody. That includes your favorite farm system darlings, Cubs fans. This isn't the cautious rebuilding Cubs of the past few years. This is a front office that smells October in the air and is willing to mortgage the future for championship glory right now. But why are they in such a strong position? It's not just the record, though being 57-39 certainly helps. It's not just having the third easiest remaining schedule, though that's a massive advantage. It's the perfect storm of circumstances that rarely aligns for any franchise. They have elite prospects other teams are drooling over, they have ownership willing to spend, and most importantly, they have needs that perfectly match what's available on the market. The biggest need? A starting pitcher who can anchor a playoff rotation. Right now, Shota Manega and Matthew Boyd have locked down 2 spots, but there's a gaping hole where a third ace should be. And Cubs fans, that hole might cost you a deep playoff run if it's not filled. But here's the beautiful part. Hoyer knows it, the market knows it, and there are sellers out there who have exactly what Chicago needs. The beauty of Chicago's position isn't just what they can get, but how they might get it. With so few obvious sellers this year, creative deals are going to rule the deadline. Teams like the Pirates, Twins, and even some surprise contenders might be willing to part with pieces they normally wouldn't. And when you have the farm system depth that Chicago possesses, plus an ownership group that's not afraid to take on salary, you become the most dangerous buyer at the table. But Cubs fans, there's something else brewing that makes this even more intriguing. The front office isn't just looking at pitchers, they're eyeing position players too, including one that might shock you. The plot thickens, Cubs fans, and this next twist involves someone wearing the wrong uniform. Someone who's been tearing up Chicago dreams for years, but might soon be fulfilling them instead. We're talking about Brian Hayes, the defensive magician playing third base for those despicable Pittsburgh Pirates. And yes, your Cubs are seriously considering bringing him home to Wrigleyville. Think about this for a second, Cubs fans. The same guy who's been robbing your hitters of extra base hits for years, the same player who's made spectacular defensive plays against Chicago in crucial divisional matchups, could be turning double plays in a Cubs uniform before August. The irony is almost too perfect. but the baseball logic is undeniable. Matt Shaw has been struggling at the hot corner, hitting a miserable .208 with an OPS that would make a pitcher blush. Meanwhile, Hayes is putting up a defensive WBR of 12.2, the highest among all third basemen in baseball. While his bat isn't exactly setting the world on fire .237, he's still a significant upgrade over what Chicago currently has. And in a tight divisional race, defense wins games that offense can't. But here's where it gets really interesting, Cubs fans. Hayes isn't a rental. He's got 4 years left on his deal, which means if Chicago pulls the trigger, they're not just fixing 2025, they're potentially solving third base through 2029. For a front office that's thinking championship windows, not just championship moments, that kind of long-term thinking makes perfect sense. The psychological warfare aspect of this potential deal can't be ignored either. Imagine the Pirates, already struggling to stay relevant in the NL Central, watching their best defensive player cross enemy lines to join the division leaders. It's the kind of move that doesn't just improve your team, it potentially derails a rival's season entirely. But Cubs fans, there's something even bigger on the horizon. While Hayes would be a nice complementary piece, there's a potential blockbuster brewing that could change everything about Chicago's championship odds. An all-star pitcher who might be available, someone whose addition would make the Cubs immediate World Series favorites. Here's where things get absolutely nuclear, Cubs fans. While everyone's been talking about the usual suspects, Sandy Alcantara, Zach Gallen, Mitch Keller, there's a name that hasn't been getting nearly enough attention, and it might be the most perfect fit for what Chicago needs. We're talking about Minnesota Twins all-star Joe Ryan. And if the Cubs pull off this blockbuster, it could be the trade that defines this entire franchise for the next decade. Ryan is having a career year that's flying under the radar while everyone focuses on the bigger names. At 29 years old, he's hitting his prime with a 9-4 record, 2.72 ERA, and an absolutely filthy 0.91 whip. Those aren't just good numbers, Cubs fans. Those are Cy Young candidate numbers. And unlike some of the other aces being shopped, Ryan comes with team control beyond this season, which means Chicago wouldn't just be renting a pitcher for a playoff run, they'd be adding a legitimate ace to their rotation for years to come. But here's the kicker that has Cubs fans' hearts in their throats. Landing Ryan might cost Chicago their top prospect, Owen Casey, the same Owen Casey that many of you have been begging the front office not to trade. The same prospect who represents the future of Cubs baseball. But Cubs fans, sometimes the future demands sacrifice in the future, and if Ryan can deliver a World Series to Wrigley Field, would you make that trade? The Twins are 47-49 and sinking fast. They're sellers, and Ryan is their most valuable asset. For a Cubs team that has everything else in place, the offense, the bullpen depth, the easiest remaining schedule, adding an ace like Ryan doesn't just improve their playoff odds, it makes them the National League favorites. This is it, Cubs fans. This is the moment that would define the next 5 years of Chicago Cubs baseball. Jed Hoyer has the assets, the ownership backing, and the perfect storm of market conditions to make franchise-altering moves. Whether it's Hayes strengthening the infield, Ryan anchoring the rotation, or moves we haven't even imagined yet, the next 10 days will determine if 2025 becomes the year Cubs fans have been dreaming about since 2016. Hit that like button if you want Hoyer to be aggressive, comment below with who you think should be untouchable, and make sure you're subscribed because these next 10 days are going to be absolutely wild. The Cubs are positioned to win the trade deadline, but more importantly, they're positioned to bring championship baseball back to the north side. Cubs fans, after waiting this long for another shot at glory, are you ready to trust the process one more time?